Did you see what Sky News did to Tommy Robinson last week? They interviewed him, and then they edited the clip unethically to make it look like he said something that he didn't, and then they put their lie, their fake news, right in their headline. Here's what Tommy actually said. This was filmed by Tommy's friend who was standing there in the studio with him. They were talking about how to teach young kids to be street smart, not to be caught by these child rape gangs. Watch for 30 seconds.
Now, if you go to Holland, they actually created an educational video to be shown in schools to warn children about these crimes. When they tried to show that in Britain in 2007, the British establishment would not allow that video to be shown because, like you just go, oh, it will incite racial hatred. So because of people
it is going to incite fear to suggest that, when you also know that there are, like the group in Bristol, white paedophiles. There's the.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't care if it incites fear, so long as it educates the children and prevents them being raped.
So Tommy says he's not concerned if that Dutch movie designed to scare young girls away from sex traffickers, scares him. He's not afraid of that. That's sort of the point of the movie. But here's what Sky News actually broadcast.
But I put it to him that, as with terrorism, his opinions on grooming gangs risked demonising an entire community.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I don't care if it incites fear, so long as it educates the children and prevents them being raped. Okay?
Do you really want to leave this into you with the thought that you're happy to instill fear of a community of 3.8 million people?
Did you see that? They cut and pasted two different comments by Tommy together, and they deleted the part about the Dutch film. And look at their headline. They say, Tommy Robinson, I don't care if I incite fear of Muslims. But he didn't say that. His mouth did not make those words. He said he didn't care if the Dutch educational film to scare girls scared girls. Listen again.
Yeah. I don't care if it incites fear, so long as it educates the children and prevents them being raped.
Tommy's talking about the video. He says twice the word it, not I, and it is talking about the film. But look at that headline. Just made up fake news, and that lie from Sky News spread everywhere. Here it is, for example, in the massive Sun newspaper in the UK. Here it is in the massive state broadcaster of Russia called RT. That lie spread around the world. And let me tell you this, when I went to Tommy's court hearing last week, there were 8 journalists, just like this liar from Sky News, who were in court that day, 8 of them. And I saw them take notes, and I saw them talk to Tommy afterwards, and I saw Tommy do his best to give them the facts, and Tommy even gave all of them his personal cell phone number. I couldn't believe it. And then those fake news journalists walked right out of court and stabbed him in the back and smeared him. They even took a run at me, because I was the one journalist in the room that was covering things factually without smearing Tommy. They hated the fact that I was there, because if I wasn't there, they could have totally controlled all the information, and they could have gotten away with it because they're a little clique, a little club loyal to each other, not loyal to their readers. That's what bothered me the most about last week. I can see right now that whatever happens in Tommy's case, the UK media will lie about it, just like they've lied about Tommy before. Frankly, I don't even know why Tommy sat down with that jackal from Sky News. Right when Tommy got out of prison, he told that same Sky News reporter he had nothing to say to him. Remember this?
You got any regrets?
In August this year, he didn't want to talk to me.
Why would I have anything to say to you? All you do is lie.
Yeah, Tommy's first instinct was the right one with Sky News, don't you think? So what should we do? You got 8 British fake news reporters in the court. They positively want Tommy put away. They want him back in prison. Now, I was there in court, and I'm going to keep going to court, and I'm going to keep telling the truth. But look, I'm just one guy, and I'm based here in Canada. It's 8 against 1. And they have Theresa May's massive state broadcaster, the BBC, on their side as a giant megaphone. How on earth can we counter that? Well, last week I managed to persuade my friend Gavin McInnes, one of the founders of Vice magazine, who worked at The Rebel for a few years, and now he works at a US media company called CRTV. I managed to convince him to come to London to cover Tommy's case, and he did. And he brought the story back to his audience in America. And it was good, but that's just one guy. And I'm not 100% sure that Gavin's going to be able to come back for the next trial date, which is tentatively scheduled for October 23rd. Now, I'm going back. But is it going to be 8 against 1 again in terms of the number of journalists there? Well, then I thought, well, why don't I bring a whole bunch of real reporters with me? Not just me and Gavin. What if I brought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other journalists to the UK from a variety of different news media, from Canada, from the United States, maybe from other countries too? Why not? Real reporters, not the fake news like Sky News and the BBC. I mean, we could crowdfund it, right? That's how I've gone over 4 times now. But what if we crowdfunded a whole alternative press corps to come over? Now, I asked Tommy about this, and he thought it was a great idea. He was really glad Gavin came over. I think he likes the personal support, of course, but mainly Tommy needs to get the word out, and it can't just be me all the time. I like doing my part, but what if we had a half dozen guys and gals doing what I'm doing also? So that's the plan. I have contacted half a dozen real reporters and said, look, if we can crowdfund a cheap economy class plane ticket for you to get to London, plus put you in a 3-star hotel for 2 nights, plus give you cab fare, plus £100 spending money just for incidentals, would you come to the court hearing and would you do a report on Tommy? I wouldn't have any involvement in writing or editing their reports. I wouldn't tell them what to say. I wouldn't look at their work or interfere in any way. They would still work for their regular editors and producers. All I'm doing, with your help, is taking away the barrier of the travel costs. It's probably about £1,500 per person. Let's call it $2,000 per person, depending on where they're coming in from. Some folks are coming from California, some from Washington, D.C., some from the other London, Ontario, Canada. Here's who's agreed to come so far, if you and I can crowdfund them. Cassandra Fairbanks of thegatewaypundit.com. It's a Washington, D.C. based news organization that gets a whopping 15 million views a month. It's incredible. Cassandra is their key Capitol Hill correspondent. I'm really excited that they're going to cover the Tommy Robinson story. I think Cassandra has a keen eye, and she's used to covering cases of government corruption and cover-up. So there's Cassandra from Washington, D.C., and then from London, Ontario, an accomplished journalist named Andrew Lawton. He's done it all. Newspaper columns, a popular radio talk show in his city where he interviewed everyone from the Prime Minister on down. Lots of common sense, very fair-minded guy, total straight shooter. So he's coming too. And Candice Malcolm. I worked with her back when I was on the Sun News Network TV station. She's gone on to become not just a great journalist, but she has also broken huge international news scoops, like Justin Trudeau bringing a terrorist named Jaspal Atwal with him on a trip to India this year. So international news scoops. She's a published author. She's the founder of the True North Initiative. Very thoughtful, very smart. She's coming too. And what can I say about my friend Tarek Fatah? Unbelievably successful journalist, thinker, newspaper columnist, best-selling author of various books. And he's not just in Canada and the US. He lives in Canada, but he is a huge, huge star in India. I want to show you 20 seconds from his TV series on ZTV, huge TV station in India. The show's called Fatah Ka Fatwa. It's an all-Muslim show where he, as a progressive Muslim, would debate Muslim radicals. Just watch 20 seconds because it's in a foreign language.
क्या जरूरत पड़ी अभी कीजिए ना अभी बताइए कि किसने किस बादशाह ने अपनी बहन के साथ निकाह किया वो बताइए ना मैं एक सेकंड बताइए ना ना आपसे 2002 के राइट पर डिबेट करेंगे हिम्मत है आपके सामने मेरी बेटी के बारे में बात मैंने क्या कहा आप बैठे रहे मैं गुस्सा नहीं आया आपको ये बैठा हुआ है आपने ये तो इतराफ कर लिया कि आपने प्रोग्राम नहीं देखा.
Now, I have no idea what they were saying, but the imams in the hats were very mad at him. So I get the feeling he was doing a good job. And tens of millions of people in India watched that series for a whole year because Tarek was the first guy to speak truth to power. And he knew the Quran better than the imams did. He's like Tommy that way, I guess. So that's our crew. Cassandra Fairbanks, Andrew Lawton, Candice Malcolm, Tarek Fatah, and I'm speaking with 2 other reporters right now who are just working with their editors to confirm that they're able to come on these terms. I'll announce them when I can. Now, these journalists are all very different people, different cities, different media, even different languages, although Tarek mainly does journalism in English. But they all have one thing in common: they tell the truth. And so when Tommy goes back to court on October 23rd, which is tentatively scheduled for that day, I want to bring these reporters with me and more reporters if we can crowdfund enough funds to the court to report as a counterweight to the snobs from the BBC and the Guardian and Sky News who just lie about Tommy. I'm not going to interfere with our journalists in any way. I trust their honesty. I'll just cover their travel. And Tarek tells me he'll already be in Europe then. So for him, we just need to cover his hotel in London. So what do you think? Do you think if we brought a half dozen journalists to counter the 8 British fake news journalists, do you think it might look like something out of the movie Anchorman?
All right, let's do this. Hey!
If you're gonna have a fight, then don't forget Channel 2 News with me, lead anchor Frank Pitchard.
You dirtbags have been in third place for 5 years.
Yeah, well, you're about to be in dead place.
I'm just kidding. There won't be any fisticuffs. Just real journalism for the first time covering Tommy. So we'll win the fight for truth. So what do you think? I say it's time we bring some real journalists to London because the local reporters are fake. People tell me that my own journalism has made a difference, and I'm glad to hear it. And Gavin McInnes came last time too. But let's get serious now. Let's bring half a dozen fair-minded reporters next time. Please help me cover their economy class travel by going to realreporters.uk. That's what we're doing. No state broadcasters like the BBC, no character assassins like Sky News. Just 5 or 6 young, professional, honest journalists who will tell it like it is. And all I'm doing is buying them the cheapest travel to get there. I think that's going to cost about $10,000. So if you could help me, I'd be grateful, and I know Tommy would be grateful too. Please visit realreporters.uk and help give me some reinforcements. We're crowdfunding a half dozen honest journalists to fly in for Tommy Robinson's next hearing, tentatively scheduled for October 23rd. I think it's really important. Please help cover their cheap flights if you can at realreporters.uk.